these challenges in our work, in our daily lives, and we face.
Welcome to Perspectives. Let's talk about education value.
Hi, today we'll be doing an episode 2 called Education Value. Purpose of this video is to cover the different aspects of education. So if you saw the intro, the place of worship, so we can get to see that education also starts from what you believe in, what values you place in. And then now we are going on to, like, in this case you can see in my background, playground. So what has that got to do with education? So that is play-based education, getting interaction with the environment. However, that is also depending on the age group that you're in as well. Okay, but for adults, read books and you can even play strategy games that actually expand our education. But the main purpose of today's video, the main focus for education value, is about how we view education, especially in the landscape in Singapore, because globally, education is perceived as looking for employment or also for personal growth. But in Singapore, we tend to focus a lot on academic progress, and we tend to focus a lot more on how well we do for our examinations. So if you recall one of the cutscenes earlier, we can clearly see the library in the background. This video might have some hints to that as well. Take a look more at how we can view education for our children in the first place. Because for ourselves, for adults, it's very clear cut. I mean, outside of work, we might not have enough time to wind down. So sometimes we read a book, sometimes we watch a movie. But for children, their growth is substantially different. So whether or not you're in primary school, secondary school, in junior college in Singapore, or polytechnic, or even in university, the focus of every person will be different depending on what their interests are. So education, you realize, is more on capitalizing on your own personal advantages and your passion. So if, let's say, regardless of whether or not it is academic, you have to look at that. So this episode, we want to think more on how, as individuals, whether as children or teenagers, or coming from the point of view of our children, because I'm an educator myself, is you need to figure out what you are good at. So that is the first value. You need to figure out what you're good at. Then after you know what you're good at and the passion, and one way is to experience different modes of learning, different modes of understanding the world around you. So one way is, as you are doing any academic papers, is to figure out, are you good with numbers, are you good with people? Because everyone has different likes and dislikes, whether is it music or art. So, or even sports. The thing here is you need to find out that value. Then after that, you can go ahead towards growth. For growth, you need to look more at how well you can grow as individuals. So, example, let's say you find out your passion is in music. So what are the next steps? So which part of music are you interested in? So some are interested in guitar, some are interested in piano. So you need to figure that part out first. Then you can expand and go in depth into that. So you go and find your niche. So that is one way. That is why in one of my earlier videos on this channel, I mentioned that it is better to focus on one trade rather than be the jack of all trades. Because sometimes being a jack of all trades is good to have fun, to experience different things. But sometimes you need to find what you are really good at and do it very well. Ultimately, by doing that, you can actually unlock more value for yourself. So that is something you need to look at. Because nowadays, it is very accessible to get a lot of knowledge and information. So now we move on to part 2 of this video. So for part 2 of this video, we want to look at more about how we can critically analyze information, understand what the AI feeds you. Because most of the time nowadays, we tend to use AI over just search. So in the past, we use Google search, YouTube search, we search for videos and so on. But nowadays, sometimes we just use AI to help us solve our problem because we do not want to have the tedious task of searching and clicking through each hyperlink. We have the AI, and most importantly is how do you make sure that the credentials and the credit that they give is accurate? Where do they get their information from? So that's more important when using artificial intelligence. So in the future, we might talk more about critical thinking. We will touch on more about what I feel are the issues, particularly in Singapore, but also generally what I see when I did travel in the past, so that we can actually look at what are the potential issues and see how we can actually improve. Because ultimately, most of the issues in society is generally caused by us people ourselves. And basically the biggest demons is basically ourselves. So we need to strive harder. Most importantly is for all of us, whether viewers or even for myself, it is about taking actionable steps. Because taking actionable steps is knowing what you can actually do to solve it. Under education value this video, you will notice that we talk about first about academics, we talk about play-based education, we talk about having the values first, right at the very beginning, the foundation, the right values, the right belief system, by understanding that what you can do for yourself. So that belief system I'm referring to is what you can do for yourself. What do you think is your purpose walking on this earth? That is the most important thing that you need to know first before you can move on to other stages in life. Because if not, you're just wandering around. So that's what I mean by the value of education. And obviously the value tie into monetary gains as well. So what do I mean by monetary gains? Like, for example, focus on maximizing your own value, whatever you like to do. That will be actually to your benefit. So for this Perspectives YouTube channel, what I want to do is I want to make sure that under this segment, you grow as a person to discuss and share ideas. Alright, so you will notice that my videos, I don't really like to throw in charts and numbers and stats because any discerning viewer can find the stats themselves if they want to, instead of having it flash right in front of their faces. Obviously, it makes it easier for you to take credit from these numbers, but having these numbers shown right at your face in these kinds of videos is me trying very hard to convince you. My position in this video is just to share with you what are the different values that we can have. And it's not just financial. The key aspect is education as well. So for episode 1, we focus very specifically on character value, knowing how to contribute. And for this episode, we talk more about education and we talk more about how we can progress together. So just to give you a preview of the next episode, 3, we'll focus more on growth. It'll be risk-taking growth. So I'll talk more about risk-taking because I want to make it more analytical. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll like and give comments as well. Alright, thanks.